distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies.
Okay, welcome to this week's episode of Make It Plain. Please do remember to like, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the support as always. It all helps. And thanks again for being here. So, this week I have very fortunate to have an interview with Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu. Yes, I said it first take, didn't have to even read it, because guess what? Her name is actually not that hard to pronounce. It's actually phonetic, really easy. So very happy to have Dr. Shola on. We talked all things from Kemi Badenoch to politics to Gaza. We had a really good conversation. Somebody should definitely check out. Dr. Shola wrote This is Why I Resist a couple of years ago. You will have seen her on various different TV shows out there. Very outspoken, put Piers Morgan in his place back in the day too. So yeah, really good conversation with Dr. Shola. After the break, please do tap into that. For the intro this week, for the rant this week, I'm going to do something a bit different. It is Black Employment Month, right? A special time of year where people are interested in, want to be educated about black stuff, black history. So I'm actually going to do a little bit of an explainer about some of the stupid arguments that people make about race. Now, usually I wouldn't do this. Usually I'd be like, what's the point? I don't really engage in the trolls. I don't really get into that, you know what I'm saying? Not for me. I just step above that. In fact, usually half the time I see I see some of these nonsense comments on Twitter. Last week's intro about the British Empire, objectively, fundamentally, obviously not comparable to the Nazis, sparked all the trolls that were kicking off. I mean, I want to say, if you have gone out of your way to send me a message, even if it is abuse, even if it is the N-word, even if it is if it is not particularly nice, I kind of take that as love, right? You took time out of your day, I've had people travel long distances to come and heckle me, and I actually really appreciate it. When we did the tour last year for the psychosis of Whiteness, one of my highlights was the White Lives Matter banner being unfurled outside the docks. So yeah, please keep up the fan mail. I really appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? There's a fine line between love and hate, and at this point, if I ain't getting abused, I don't know, I feel like I'm missing something. Keeps me warm at night. So please do keep sending all your abuse, because it actually, it's stoking the fire, not dousing it. But yeah, usually I would ignore it. Also to say, some of the abuses can be a bit funny sometimes. A couple of people have called me Kunta Kehinde. I love it. I might start using that. I might get a t-shirt that says Kunta Kehinde. I think it's great. So yeah, please do. As a kind of an aside, because like I said, usually I wouldn't even address this stuff, but it's Black History Month. It's Black Employment Month, and we have to remember the Black Employment Month isn't actually for us. I said this the other day. I was doing a talk in Birmingham. The history of Black Employment Month very much, it's not about black people having our space and our time. Look, man, we educate ourselves. Like, we know, like, if I'm gonna educate my kids, I educate my kids. I don't wait for October. We do it all year round. Have done. British Black Power was all about that. The books you see behind me, the books that I have liberated from my mom's house, and that was it. We grew up with that. All right. Black History Month, I'll call it Black History Month now, actually starts off in America as Negro History Week. Carter G. Woodson, who wrote a book which is somewhere here, The Miseducation of the Negro. The purpose of that actually was, thinking about slavery having ended, 1865, and there's a period where slavery's ended. Don't really need black people anymore. We came for labor. You don't really want us to work, and so there are all these stereotypes about us not being human, us being feeble, us being a race that's going to die off. By 1926, when Carter G. Woodson comes up with Negro History Week, there's actually fears that there's going to be a genocide, right? That we're going to be killed off, because what's the point? And so, actually, Negro History Week was to remind white people, not us, it really was to remind white people that we're human beings, right? Here's a week, celebrate the accomplishments of the race, celebrate us as real people, celebrate us as that. That was the purpose of it. And look in the UK, why they started in 87, very similar, right? Lots of racism, not genocide, obviously, concerns, but racism's there. We're not getting not getting the respect we should be getting in the schools, and that, not getting the respect in jobs, things. The system hasn't really opened up in that. And so the point really is for white people, right? Look at Black History Month now. It's in school. It's the one time in schools, in corporations. Hey, look, you want me to come and do a talk? I'll come give you a talk. Happy to do it. It's the one time a year where it opens up. Not for us. This is for white people, right? Educate. To get some education about Black people. Because we know for a fact the schools are deeply, deeply racist, deeply, deeply Eurocentric, and not giving us any information. So, in that spirit, in this one-up spirit, you know, me, I don't really ever, my audience I'm talking to is always Black people, like always in the books, on the TV stuff. Even if I go on like Good Morning Britain, my reason to that is to talk to us, right? So usually with these things, I ain't really getting involved. I just kind of leave it out there. But in the spirit of Black Employment Month, not really the spirit of it because I ain't getting paid for this. So I guess you're getting some free education today. I'm going to go through some of the stupid arguments and nonsense myths. This might be helpful to people as well. They get batted around anytime you mention racism being a thing or racism existed. I'm going to try and just go through them relatively quickly and kind of debunk. Let's debunk some white nonsense, the psychosis. Let's debunk the psychosis in the spirit of Black Employment Month. Right? So, I always start this, and actually one of the reasons I don't address these, because pretty much everything I'm about to say, I did already cover in quick plug, The New Age of Empire. This is the US version, The New Age of Empire, how racism and colonialism still rules the world. Dealt with this already. Like, one of the things you know very quickly, being a Black academic talking about these things, or Black writer, is you're going to get nonsense. So I actually try to deal with all these nonsense arguments in the book, right? So I'll start up by saying, one of the first myths is, why don't I ever talk about slavery in Africa? Done, it's in the book. It's in the book. Why don't I talk about the white slave trade? It's in the book. It really is. It's already there. Read the book. Stop being ignorant. Pick up a book before you come on my timeline. Talking nonsense. Again, one of the reasons why I'm very unlikely to respond to this stuff, it's already in the books. But like I said, spirit of giving, if you like, I will drop some knowledge for people. And again, maybe this will be helpful if you're encountering these kind of things. So a couple of very, 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 very quick ones which really aren't hard to get past. So the first one is Marxist. Everything is a Marxist. Everything that doesn't like capitalism and doesn't like white supremacy is not Marxist, right? Marx, dead white man, deeply problematic. In fact, in The New Age of Empire, whole chapter on the problem of Marxism. I am not a Marxist. Kimberly Crenshaw is not a Marxist. Anybody who talks about black stuff aren't Marxist. Guess what? Black people can have ideas. Black people can think. We don't need the white man to be telling us how to critique capital, how to critique white supremacy. Let's just start that off for 100%. Marxism? Why is everything Marxism? Take your white psychosis, fog off your brain, and please understand that black people have ideas. And guess what? Black people have ideas and critiques of capitalism that go way before the left-wing center was even conceived. All right? Number one, stop with the Marxist nonsense. That just makes you look stupid. Okay? So that's one. Right. So let's get into the more substantive, meaty ones. So, again, this should be quite straightforward, but obviously not. I'm trying to pierce the bubble of psychosis here. Yes, slavery has existed for thousands of years. Guess what that doesn't do? That doesn't excuse Europe for slavery, for one of the largest, most damaging, most long-lasting slave trades in the world. Guess what else has existed for years? Murder has existed since people were around. But if you kill someone, I promise you, if you get caught at least, there's going to be punishment. Just because someone's been around for a long time doesn't make you any less guilty. Alright? That's a pretty simple principle. Yes? So yes, white people historically were enslaved. Yes, there were other people around the world enslaved. What does this have to do? That's not an argument. Let's just fundamentally say, that's stupid, that's not an argument. So we're just going to move on very quickly. Second thing, and the thing I think is actually, this is quite an important one conceptually. When we think about slavery, slavery can mean lots and lots of different things. So yes, there was a slave trade in Africa before Europe. In the book. And in fact, Europeans don't really come up with new ideas. I mean, this is the irony of all things, right? Pretty much every idea in Europe you can trace to somewhere that's not Europe. And in fact, slavery, slave trade, the slave markets, Arab slave trade that existed in Africa was really why Europe started enslaving Africans, because there was a market, there was something there, it was there, right? There was not a unique idea. In fact, Ibn Khaldun, Islamic scholar in the 12th century, kind of theorized black people being subhuman. Again, not Europe. Don't really have any new ideas. I hate to break it to you, but actually it's Europe which is heavily derivative. Anyway, so yes, there was a slave trade. But importantly, that slave trade that we say Africans sold Africans into slavery, actually the system was much more like serfdom in Europe. You had rights. You were not property in that same way. There were the stories of the enslaved Africans in African slave trade, who became parts of the family, became leaders, became rulers. It was fixed for a period of time. Very much more like serfdom than transatlantic slavery, which took away rights, dehumanized, debased. Yes. So yes, there were people on the African continent who sold other people on the African continent into slavery, but that slave system was so distinct, so different to European chattel slavery that we shouldn't actually use the same term. And it's actually also not clear that people, when they sold people to Europeans, understood what they were selling them into. I mean, slavery doesn't really happen on the European slavery doesn't really happen on the African continent. It happens far, 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 far away, right? So people wouldn't necessarily even know what they were selling people into, right? Really, really, really important. There's a very particular form of chattel slavery that is distinctive, unique to Europe. The dehumanization, the ownership, the idea of race, that Negro-ness, if you like, which Europe does do differently. Takes what it has before, makes it way, way, way more extreme. This is to be very clear what we are talking about, right? Other thing, Africans are selling other Africans in slavery. We have to understand, Africa at this point is it's still a very, very, very massive, it's a huge continent. It has lots of different people in it. At the time when Europe comes in, the concept of Africa as Africans doesn't exist, right? You have different kingdoms, right? Different ethnic groups. And what happens when is in the slave trade, they were selling other groups, kept prisoners of war were heavily sold, right? And they start to do this with Europeans. Europeans come in, start to buy people. They're not selling their own people, right? Their own people it's a very European way to look at it, right? Oh, you're all black, you're all the same people. It's not really the case, right? What actually happened was we tended to sell people who were other people, right? And there are other ways to distinguish between social groups that aren't race, European construct, in fact, right? Important. It's actually a really important point, right? When we're thinking about histories of slavery. Now, really importantly, then, so this is true. There are people in the African continent who sold other people in the African continent. Again, guess what that doesn't do? That doesn't reduce in any way, shape, or form the culpability of the Europeans who established the system of transatlantic slavery, who benefit from the system of transatlantic slavery. Makes no difference. You're still culpable. You still did it. Doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't matter. There were some terrible people on the African continent. Terrible people who continuously made lots of money off it. And actually what eventually happens is because slavery becomes a big business, the only real things that dominate and decimates the African economy. If the big kingdoms think about Ashanti, Wolof, there's another one which is escaping me in a minute, but the big kingdoms that grow, they really do develop because they do slavery, right? Because they will sell other groups in, etc. Which is terrible, doesn't it? Of course it's terrible. We have to say that it's terrible. But that doesn't in any way, shape or form make you any less culpable, right? The fact you may be a drug kingpin in America, the fact that there are people in Colombia who are getting the drug, that doesn't take your culpability away. You're the cause of it, you're the market for it, you're the heart of it. Let's just stop being stupid about this. I'm using the word stupid a lot today because these arguments are so ridiculous. Alright, so really importantly then, also, when we're thinking about benefits, the key thing here about benefits, slavery is not done. This is the really key thing. We think about that European system of slavery that existed, which happened. The thing which actually distinguishes it from the Arab slave trade, African slave trade, more than anything else, even Roman Empire slavery, is that the legacies of it are still with us today. Europe enriched itself massively. The West was created from the wealth of slavery. The difference between the Arab slave trade, which actually lasted longer, and you could say is still happening, yes, you could say that Arab slave trade has continued, and European slave trade, is that Europe turned us into commodities. the wealth in slavery was not the actual trade, really. There was money made off the trade. But the wealth was in turning us into commodities to produce capital. So, sugar, indigo, tobacco, cotton, gold, silver. Those are the key things which make capital, which make you have industrial revolution, which make you have all of these factories, make you have all the wealth we have today. Those are the 6 key commodities. Guess who produced them? Enslaved Africans in the Americas. And that's where the wealth is produced. So the Arab slave trade, the wealth, slavery was very much about, it was servants. There was luxury goods. It didn't produce, there's no production. The wealth in Arab slave trade was in the trade. So there's actually stories. When I was researching the Egyptian Empire, there was actually, I found stories of Arab slave traders with so much wealth and they have nothing to do with it because the society doesn't benefit, society doesn't grow. Europe turned us into commodities which growed capital, and that wealth is still with us. So unlike a slave trade in the Arab slave trade where the wealth didn't produce society, unlike the Roman Empire where it's done, finished, gone, not the Barbary slave trade, done. No societies are done. We are still in Western capitalism, Western imperialism. We're still in the same system. The wealth is still there, and guess what else is still there? The poverty. Because the thing about Africa, even though there were people who sold people into slavery, the actual economy of Africa was decimated by slavery. Africa, when Europe came to Africa, Africa was far ahead, advanced to Europe. And it was because of slavery, because they were able to trade, take us away, take millions upon millions of people off the shore, totally, not only, it just destroyed the economy. It actually meant that Africa underdeveloped. And so by the time slavery ends, Europe's on top, Africa's at the bottom, and then Europe can come in and colonize and take over and take the resources. Without slavery, none of that happened. Right? In fact, the irony of ironies, had we had black consciousness in the 15th century, slavery don't happen. Because we'd have kicked Europeans out, because Europe was behind. So actually Europe takes slavery, uses slavery to make us poor and to make themselves rich. And guess what's still there? The wealth is still there. Western countries are the richest in the world. African countries are the poorest in the world. There is a hierarchy in between, broadly speaking, right? You can see that hierarchy. That's still there. People are still dying because of this. That has not been fixed. That's why reparatory justice is important, because you have to fix the problem. The other slave trades, they're done, finished. This is not finished. Slavery, colonialism, neo-colonialism, where we are today, is one system which is all linked and connected. So slavery is not past. Slavery is here. And in fact, I'm in England. People tell me to go away. Why are you here? I'm here because of slavery, because of the British Empire, because my ancestors were enslaved into the Caribbean, turned into colonial subjects, and then moved to England. We are here because you were there. That's the result of it. That's what we're dealing with. So please stop. It's all in the past. That's the all in the past nonsense. It's not in the past. It's with us. It's with us now, very, very much. And the debt is owed. And that debt gets passed on from generation to generation to generation, whether you were involved or not. Don't matter. You're still stinking, rolling around in the wealth from it. You are therefore culpable. And the next one I'm going to come to is, it's like I say this all the time. Britain ended the slave trade. Britain ended the slave trade. You should be proud because Britain ended the slave trade. Shut up, take that somewhere else. Britain did not abolish the slave trade for moral reasons. Britain abolished slave trade for economic and political reasons. First economic reason, it was actually Pitt the Younger. Slavery is abolished in 1807. Pitt the Younger in the late 18th century goes to Wilberforce, and says to him, what Pitt sees is that you have French colonies, you have Jamaica, just take Jamaica and Haiti. Jamaica is the biggest English sugar colony. Haiti is the biggest French sugar colony. And so what they do, and what they say, Haiti has about 60% of the people in Haiti are foreign born, right? 60% of the population in Haiti are foreign born. Because they have lots of trade. They just work you to death, replace, right? Whereas in Jamaica and British colonies, they tended to breed the enslaved. They were less reliant on the trade. But Haiti's outpacing Jamaica. Haiti is the richest colony, making the most sugar, and they need the slave trade. Pitt looks at this and goes, well, Jamaica, we don't really need the trade no more. We've got enough. We can just breed them. So what are we doing this for? Let's kill the trade. So it's Pitt the Younger that goes to Wilberforce and says, make this campaign to abolish the slave trade. Because if we get rid of the slave trade, we're going to damage Haiti, damage our main competitor. That is the reason they start the campaign, right? And nothing to do with morals, which explains why Britain ends the slave trade in 1807, but continues enslaving us until 1838. That's a good 31 years. It's not a moral thing. It's not, oh, thank you, British Navy going around stopping slave trade, but we're still enslaving people, and you're telling me it's a moral thing? Shut up. Just go read a book. Read this book. It's in the book. Nonsense. All right. Second reason why slave trade is abolished, rather than slavery, by the way. 1804, really important history lesson here. Haitian Revolution. What happens in Haiti is Haiti has the only successful slave rebellion in history. Why? One of the explanations is 60% foreign born. And in fact, we were saying before about a lot of the captives who were sold into slavery, prisoners of war. There's a civil war in the Congo happening. A lot of the people who were saved, what is now the Congo, who are sent into sold into slavery are warriors. So you've got a whole place of warriors who are African, because that breaking in process was to stop us being African. So much of slavery was to stop us being African, stop us our beliefs, stop us our language. There are loads of people, 60% of the population in Haiti, heavily identified Africa, heavily identified their own religions. They brought in their own. They had military tactics, and had the only successful slave rebellion in history. When Haiti is successful, they are terrified of Africans. It is no coincidence that 1804 happens, the successful revolution, and 1807 Britain abolishes slavery. Not in our economic interest, and we're terrified of Africans. So we're going to keep slaving you, but we're not going to trade you. Not a moral thing at all, nothing to be thankful about, go away. Also, I'll just point out, it was a miscalculation from the British. They assumed that they would be able to breed the enslaved. It's a great book by Stella Dadzi. In fact, I have to get Stella Dadzi on the pod to talk about this. It's called A Kick in the Belly, where she explains that if you look at the birth rate in Jamaica on the plantation, on the Caribbean slave plantation, it plummets after the slave trade is abolished, and it only goes back up when slavery ends, because the women knew what the plan was. They knew what the plan was. You want us to breed the enslaved? They said, no, I can do it, but zip up, nope. And so by 1832, when you have in Jamaica, you have the Big Baptist War, Sam Shah Rebellion, it's actually less enslaved than they thought, because they didn't have enough people. They stopped breeding, so they actually didn't have enough people. So there's massive slave rebellion. There's less of the enslaved than they think. And so slavery actually gets abolished because it can't work anymore. The system's not working anymore. It's an economic thing. It's not working anymore. Too much resistance they can't hold. Nothing to do with morals. Britain is not the country. And even if Britain did do it because it was the right thing to do, you don't get credit for stopping beating your wife. You don't get credit for stopping being a serial killer. Nobody says, oh great, well done for you for stopping doing a crime. That don't happen. You don't get no thanks for that. So A, not a moral issue. B, it was about resistance. It was about economics. And then C, we carried on. Britain carries on exploiting. It's not like slavery ends and you just carry on exploiting. We're still exploiting now. So drop the nonsense, drop us around, read a book. New Age of Empire, please do go read. This is the last time. I ain't addressing none of this ever again, because that's the last time. If you need a handy guide, handy short, the nonsense arguments you're going to get thrown at, there you go for Black Employer Buff. Please leave me alone, because I ain't got nothing to say. Now we go back to do the actual work of talking about the serious issues that we need to go forward with. Anyway, I just wanted to do a little segue, a little explainer for Black Employment Month. And yeah, next we're going to have the interview with Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu. Really good conversation, really good person to check out. Please do listen. We have a really good conversation about politics of the day. Kemi, I think we even talk about Kamala Harris is about to lose the election. We'll have a whole, we're going to have a whole, I'm going to get a guest on about Kamala's struggles as well soon. But anyway, yeah, enjoy the podcast. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned after the break. All right, so we're very, very happy and honored to have Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu. Hopefully I said that right.
You said it, my brother.
Perfect. All right, I didn't practice or anything, because it's actually not that hard. You know,
You just phonetically. Thank you.
Yeah, you just read it out. It's not that difficult. But yeah, welcome to the podcast. I saw you on last time I saw you, it was at the trial of Mari Hussein for the coconut placard.
Yes,
which was a whole surreal experience.
Honestly, the fact
did you go into it?
Through that, the fact that we have to go through that, Kehinde, it's unbelievable, and it's clear that the CPS service and the Met Police really, I mean, aside from the fact that they are clearly institutionally racist, as far as I'm concerned, they do not even understand the premise of what racism is. So for them to prosecute Mariha for no good reason except to make an example of her because she had the audacity to march in protest against Israel's genocide of Palestinians. She had the audacity to hold people from her community to account, right? For legitimizing the persecution and genocide of Palestinians. They decide that this is what must happen. I'm so glad many people came out in person, online and offline to say, what the hell? This is wrong. And of course, it's very good that the court threw it out and found her not guilty. I mean, what utter nonsense. What a waste of time and resources.
Yeah, money. I mean, did you see any? I managed to get into some of the trial, and it was so bad. Like, honestly, they had no evidence. There was no
Nothing.
witnesses. There's nothing. It was really spectacularly how bad the case was. But
Right. I mean, as I said, it was to make an example of her, and by extension, to try to silence the rest of us.
yeah,
It is by extension. It's like, well, we want you to be very afraid now. After all, the Zionists have complained that they feel so afraid because somebody called somebody else a coconut, a word and term we use within our community to hold ourselves to account. That is exactly what happened there. So I'm glad Mariha was, set free.
set free. Yeah, but unfortunately, lost her job. Though still has lost her job. Still went through the ordeal.
The job, and I think that the court's verdict should shame that her employer. It should shame them because I have no doubt in my mind a bunch of people going, well, it is so wrong, and they do not understand what racism is. They're weaponizing the very thing that was put there, the laws that were put there to protect us from racists. To say, well, now you are being racist. I'm sorry, I don't care if it's 2024. You don't get to redefine what racism is. And all of a sudden decide that, do you not understand that racism is fluid? Racism is not fluid. There's nothing fluid about racism. So really, because it's fluid, it can apply to any one of us. No, it doesn't apply to you. It doesn't apply to white people. It benefits white people, and it's to the detriment of Black and brown people. That has not changed. But hey, I swear, I could do a whole TED talk on it. Not try and a whole coconut there. I'm like, people, why are you wasting our time?
It's but I've had the couple of cases I've been contacted about. One of them was a black guy called the police white pigs when they arrested him, and they charged him with this. I mean, it's honestly really out of control. The way they're policing us, out of control. the way that it's going. But you said you've had people want to reprimand you for your speaking out against Israel.
Oh, absolutely. I've had hit pieces written about me and against me, and people putting things about that Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu, she's anti-Semitic. How? Oh, don't you understand that the IHRA? I said, okay, hold up a second, people. Hold up a second. Thank you, Jesus, that I am literate. So I'm able to look at this IHRA definition and read it for myself. And I'm reading this IHRA definition. I'm like, actually, yeah, the anti-Semitism definition as it applies to Jewish people makes sense.
Yeah.
But the moment you try to use a definition to, absolve Israel of any wrongdoing, to shield it when it is clearly committing crimes against humanity, I say to people like that, you can kiss my royal black chuddy. Are you mad? Do I speak to you? How do you tell me? And let's not forget the IHRA definition is not law.
Well, I mean,
just fling this thing open and go, well, the IHRA definition, I'm sorry, if the IHRA definition says that it is okay for Israel to kill Palestinians, the IHRA definition can kiss my royal black chuddy. Because bottom line is that the IHRA definition as it applies to Israel is absolutely wrong, and I don't accept it. As it applies to Jewish people, obviously, that's right. But people, then you hear the nonsensical argument in which they conflate Jews with the Jewish state. But it is the Jewish state. And so, I'm sorry, so it is the Jewish state? It's the only state of Jewish people. Well, first of all, Jews come from different places around the world. And secondly, most importantly, you know what? Being the only Jewish state does not give it the right to persecute, murder, and ethnically cleanse a persecuted minority. After all, it is not going to be the only state in this world that it is the state of a people. This makes no sense to me. So each time they come with these arguments, you understand that all they're trying to do is to defend the indefensible. So yeah, I've had them write hit pieces about me in papers. I've had the UK lawyers for Israel make a complaint against my regulator, demanding that I apologize and I did this and I did. I'm like, people, okay, you want to come for me when I didn't send for you. All right, let's at the same time. What the hell? What's your problem? You're trying to silence me? You're trying to silence anybody that has the audacity to speak out against Israel? To say what Israel is doing is absolutely categorically wrong? To say that I stand with Palestine is, oh my God, we're afraid. Zionists go, oh no, that's anti-Jewish. No, it's not anti-Jewish. It is anti-genocide.
Yeah.
Okay, it is anti-apartheid. That is what it is. It is anti-evil. And as far as I'm concerned, Israel is an evil apartheid terrorist state. And there is nothing anybody's going to say or do that's going to change my mind. Period. So let them carry on.
I mean, that is the problem, that we conflate Jews. I mean, it's actually racist is that the racism is actually to say that Israel is Jews. Israel represents Jews. Many Jews are against Israel.
Many Jewish people have clearly stated that Israel, it does not speak for them.
Yeah.
And anti-Semitism, as I understand it, even under the Bible of the IHRA definition, says not to conflate Jewish people with Israel. But this is the only way Zionists can call you anti-Semitic, by conflating Jews with the state of Israel. And it's just categorically wrong. Kehinde, I do not know where I've been. I do not know what Shola was doing before October 7th. I had no idea the destructive power manipulation of Zionism before what I've seen in the last 12 months. And of course, what I personally experienced at the hands of a Zionist. I'm like, where the hell have I been? How did I not know this was going on? I mean, I'm sorry, I know I wasn't living under a rock because I was, doing other things, but how did I not know this was happening? And I've taken a lot of hope, I have to say. Oh, our anti-Zionist Jewish brothers and sisters, may the good Lord bless them. May God bless them because they're doing the Lord's work. They make it very clear that there's a clear distinction between Judaism and Zionism. And that Zionism has jack all to do with Judaism, and that Zionism has jack all to do with Jewishness. And it's so I don't know, it lifts my heart when I hear them speaking truth to power, because you also know, like I do, from marginalized communities, that they will be getting abused and persecuted within their community for speaking out against Israel. Okay? And so the only thing that matters here is humanity. That is really it. And I don't need to be Jewish. I don't need to be Muslim. I don't need to be of other faith or other races to know that what Israel is doing is wrong. And I would not say it's racism. I would say it's anti-Semitic when people conflate Jews with the state of Israel and all of the things to do with, Jewish people. I think that anti-Semitism coexists with racism. I think that it intersects with racism, but they are two different things. I said what I said. If you people don't like it,
but it is. I mean, it is wild. It is the Israel thing, but it's been the lobby, the Zionist lobby. There's so much power. I think the Labour Party is not much better than the Tory Party on this. I guess where is the hope? Do you see hope? Because it doesn't seem like there's that much hope in the situation.
I think that, you're right that it looks like where will this solution come from? Where will justice come from when our very leaders are in the pockets of Zionists? When world leaders are in the pockets of Zionism? When it is clear that Israel has some kind of hold over some people's common sense? But I take hope from the people. it's not a small thing that hundreds of thousands of people every Saturday in this country come together and march against Israel and march for Palestine. It is not, it's not a small thing that around the world protests take place time and on a weekly basis. I take hope from that. I take hope as well from our Jewish brothers and sisters who speak up and speak out. So, you're not losing your mind. And now that they're, 12 months down the line, in fact, before 12 months hits with the genocide, even from 3, 4, 5 months, people are being, sharing the truth. Yeah. Investigations. The UN found that as basically said that Israel is exterminating Palestinians, that Israel has systemically raped Palestinians. All of the things that people like me were saying before, we even just from being able to observe. Yeah. You have ICC saying that, or ICC as well. Plausible cause for genocide. That was ICJ. ICC putting out an arrest for Netanyahu and his defense minister. How is this not enough for people to understand that you are not going mad? Yeah. And it's the media coverage, Kehinde, I have to say. Sometimes I have to switch off my TV because I'm this close, always this close to throwing my remote control at the TV screen. But then, there's a cost of living crisis, so I can't replace it. So I have to restrain myself. Yeah. Okay, and you know me, that's a whole lot of hard work. So on television, especially these media broadcasters, lying through their teeth, not giving those who have the opportunity to speak that time to speak. And then they open the floor for people like that Israeli UK ambassador, that utter despicable ambassador. She lies through her teeth every single time. They let Netanyahu speak at the United Nations. I was in New York a week or so ago, and I was part of the protesting against him speaking in the UN. He has no business speaking in the UN. Nobody gives Putin the floor to speak at the UN. And Putin hasn't even done a quarter of what Netanyahu has done. Not even a quarter. I mean, what Putin is doing is bad enough. We all know that. The invasion, all of it illegal, all of it wrong. But he's getting way more condemnation than Israel has ever got. Israel has gotten nothing from these so-called key allies. So I think we must have hope in the way we hold space for each other, in the way we keep speaking out when we see somebody else being silenced by Zionists, or Zionists are attempting to silence them, make them lose their job. Kenya, don't you find it just ironic? Israel sells this whole thing about Hamas will come for you. You should be afraid of Hamas. Okay. Nope, I don't know anybody who is denying that, what Hamas did on October 7th was absolutely horrific, a massacre of civilians. As far as I'm concerned, it's a criminal act, no doubt in my mind. But you see, I am not afraid of Hamas coming to meet me here, because the only person who's affecting me here is Israel. Yeah. It is the Zionists who are taking people's jobs. It is the Zionists who are affecting people's freedom of speech, not Hamas, not Hezbollah. Israel, the state terrorist. That is Israel and its proxies and its Zionists and its so-called, the hand that it has over Keir Starmer and the like, who are actually shutting down our voices. So no, I think if people want to be scared of anything, it is really more Israel that poses a greater threat than Hamas and Hezbollah here. So I say, Hamas and Hezbollah are going to come for you. And you know what? I won't lie, Kehinde. I mean, look at what happened with 9/11. And you hear July, what was the date? Was it July 7th?
Yeah, July 7th. Yeah.
And we know these things were terrorist acts that were a direct result of our foreign policies in these other countries. So you tell me that with what the UK and the US are arming Israel with right now in causing the devastation in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Lebanon, and now, Israel expand to other places in the Middle East, who's going to suffer the brunt of that? It's going to be us. Yeah. Because when retaliation comes in the form of the 9/11 and the July 7, and I have no doubt in my mind that it will come. I do not know why these people think, people in the UK, these so-called UK and US leaders think that they're invincible. You are not invincible. In fact, you're putting the target on our backs.
Yeah.
I mean, July 7th was what? Buses? 9/11 were buildings with an aeroplane? Heaven knows what these actions will now feed into. So as far as I'm concerned, I hold Israel in contempt. I hold the United States in contempt. I hold the United Kingdom in contempt. Anyone that's fostering genocide, this war, I hold them all in contempt. And I will not lie, Kehinde. I don't know what I was expecting. No, I lie. I know what I was expecting. October 7th happened, and what I was expecting was, oh, you know what, they'll get the people that did it, because this is terrible. They will go get them. They'll get them, no problem. You're like you would expect of any other crime, especially when it's a war crime. They'll get them. What I did not expect is for hundreds of thousands of, Palestinians to literally be wiped off the face of the earth, for them millions to be starved to death, a collective punishment of biblical epic proportion. No. Utterly wrong. And when people say, well, what did you want? What did you want Israel to do? Are you mad? So Hamas are taking those hostages and kept the hostages in Tel Aviv. Would Netanyahu have done to Tel Aviv what he did to Gaza? No. Would you be asking me the question, well, what would you have Israel do? No. I mean, how is it not just plain common sense that this is wrong? Oh, Hamas is using Palestinians as human shields. Okay, if Hamas is using Palestinians as human shields, then Israel is using Palestinians as human targets.
True.
Yeah, look, if you don't stop me, I'll just keep talking, because these people piss me off.
Well, I mean, that's settler colonialism. It ends in genocide. That is the logic of settler colonialism in genocide. And I mean, this may kill all of us as well, because Israel keeps attacking Iran, Lebanon. We just end up getting in Third World War. Like, at some point, surely you think America would realize
Israel is not worth getting into a Third World War for. Israel is literally creating the conditions so that it is seen to be fighting on different fronts.
Yeah.
If Israel had not been committing the genocide in Gaza, it would not have perpetuated or escalated the engagement of the Houthis and the Hezbollahs and blah, blah, blah. And Hamas, as we all know, which is not a justification, but it's an explanation, Israel has been killing and imprisoning and detaining and torturing Palestinians up until the 7th of October, and then did it far more afterwards. So at some point, you have to ask, what is the common denominator in all of it? It's Israel. It's Israel's occupation. It is Israel's apartheid. Israel is the problem. If it stopped, if it stopped its occupation, its illegal settlements, its brutal subjugation and oppression of Palestinian people, none of these groups would exist. Hamas came to existence because of Israel. Hezbollah came into existence because of Israel, because Israel went and committed genocide in Lebanon, which it's now doing. It's like rinse and repeat with Israel, rinse and repeat. And all of these countries, again, when I say all of these countries, but the key countries, the EU, UK, and US, allow it to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know where I've been. I do not know where I've been. But October 7th opened my eyes in a way that I don't think Israel contemplated. Maybe they thought they would do exactly what they've done before, and people are not going to respond as much. Oh, who's going to care? But wow, I've never seen such worldwide, I mean, literally global condemnation like I've seen here. And the only thing Israel still has its head above the parapet is because of the UK and US.
Yeah.
Our our taxpayers' money is what's keeping that evil, murderous, apartheid state going. That's so unacceptable to me.
I know. Cut fuel payments for old people, but still send bombs to Israel. I mean, Hey, where your money gets spent. But one of the other things I wanted to bring up was the people that are trying to stop you speaking aren't just the Zionists. Also, you had a really was it last year? You actually had national action sent you a letter through your
Oh
door.
yes, death threats
I
and the
mean,
rape.
that's. I mean, I get a lot of abuse online, but actually in your home, that must have been very difficult.
It was definitely, these threats would, I suppose, generally come through the usual route of, email or some message or some
Yeah.
DM or, message online. But, and some of them, a few of them I have reported. In fact, for
Mhm.
the longest time, I didn't even realize I could report these things to the
Okay.
police. I'll be honest with you. And I always used to think, oh well, should I? But then I started to. And there was one conviction. There was actually
Oh,
one
really, was it? Okay.
of malicious communication. Um, but sometimes the police are like, oh, we can't locate the people.
Okay.
Like, you know what? I did my bit in letting you know what is happening. But with the death threats from that specific group, which is still ongoing, and I was one of, I believe, 3 women
Mm.
that were that it was that received that death threat from that group. I think what it taught me, alongside other things, is how very much, nothing has changed. I mean, I always knew nothing had really changed,
Yeah.
but that, as far as I'm concerned, there are people on whose shoulders I stand on.
Mhm.
Black people who paved the way for you and I to be able
Yeah.
to have some of the freedoms that we enjoy today. Brown and white people who also fought for us to be able to enjoy some of the
Mhm.
freedom that we enjoy today.
Yeah.
And it just feels to me that a lot of those sacrifices from people who got together because we have one common cause, which is our humanity, and that our race should not be a difference, it should be a celebration.
Mhm.
That message has not gotten through anywhere. It
Okay.
hasn't gotten through institutionally. It has not gotten through economically. It hasn't gotten, got through politically. So that you have people and groups like these, and it's groups like this that really engineered the race riots we saw in the UK a few months ago. And it is this constant ignorance, and I say self-imposed ignorance,
Yeah.
because they would rather blame somebody else for their frustration than take responsibility for it or recognize who is really at the root
Yeah.
of their frustration. Because if they took a step back, they'll go, you know what, I actually have more in common. Me, white Muslim man, I have more in common with a black or brown Muslim man
Yeah.
who is working class, we're
Mhm.
both working class, than I do with a rich white man or an elite. What they're never looking at where the source of the problem really comes from,
Mhm.
and how class has created a real division.
Yeah.
Wealth has created a real division. And let me just underline this by saying that I have no problem with people being rich. People,
Mhm.
you work hard, you earn your money, good for you. I know how, but I'm saying that the wealth gap and the class gap intersects with the institutional structural racism. It intersects with the institutional structural misogyny. It
Mhm.
intersects with a lot of the roots of the problems here. But people don't tend to look at that and don't understand how this intersectionality creates intersecting inequalities.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem to have stopped you from speaking out. The
Oh
death
no,
threats.
stop me from speaking. Are they mad? Eh, hey, do they have 2 heads? What happened? Of course not. No, no, no. I think that for a while it did make me think, especially because in the letter they mentioned my husband, they mentioned my kids.
Yeah.
So having the necessary coverage, but by God's grace we are covered in Jesus' name.
Okay.
Um, but it just makes you think of the. But I also know I speak out because I have a family. I
Yeah.
speak up because other people have families. I speak up because I am hoping that by adding and lending my voice to many other voices that some want to oppress and suppress, that maybe we will get loud enough to bring about change. So no, it's not going to stop me speaking. Look, I have no doubt in my mind. I'm sure that when I came out of my mother, I was probably screaming about something. So I'm not going to stop screaming now because what happened?
Yeah, no, that's cool, but I get scary times. I mean, is it the situation sorted now? Like, is it, or is still, you said it was ongoing?
The investigation is still ongoing as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
And we live and we trust in God, and we keep doing what we need to do. But as I said, look, um, death threats are one thing, but they're also the threats against my livelihood, my threats against my person, threats against my name, the people trying to discredit me or defame me, things like that keep carrying on. And this is where I think, and I'm so grateful to God for my faith, because my faith keeps me grounded. I do what I do because I believe in what I believe. Okay. And I believe what is right. And I have no problem in saying this is right and that is wrong. And I think that is really, really important. And I cannot wait for somebody else to say it for me.
Yeah.
A lot of what I'm saying to you right now, Kehinde, from the time we started speaking, is because it's right here. And I do not know how not to unleash and release myself from what I can't hold it in. That's a cancer. And I reject cancer in Jesus' name. The point is, if it needs to be said, I'm going to say it because I think that that's the right thing to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I get something wrong, I have no problem put it on my hand and go, okay, I got that wrong. Let me unpick my learning, because I don't know everything. Even my husband tells me, Shola, you do realize that the world doesn't revolve around you. I'm like, sure. So yeah, we keep on moving by God's grace. My faith keeps me grounded. The Lord God is my covering.
Okay. No, solidarity certainly. Again, we need voices like yours. We're on a step. I wanted to actually bet this because we're on a verge of progress. We're going to have shortly one of the two main parties will be led by a black woman, probably. Kemi Badenoch could be the next prime minister of the fellow Nigerian as well. Isn't this progress? We made it, right?
Hey.
Will you be celebrating when Kemi Badenoch is the next prime minister of the UK?
Can you imagine? Kemi, not bad enough. Not bad enough. Okay. You know what? I think that Kemi Badenoch is an absolute. She's a caricature of the very system that we're saying needs to go. She is she's the black face of white supremacy. That's what I would call her. She's a racial gatekeeper. She does everything possible to uphold the very systems that suppress and oppress Black people. She denies that, racism is systemic. She denies that, white privilege exists. Heck, this woman, it always, sometimes I have a smile on my face when I'm watching her. I've watched her a few times during this leadership. I think it was the other one when they had the debates.
Okay, yeah.
And Kemi, every single opportunity she gets, she throws Nigeria under the bus.
Really?
I've never seen Rishi, Suella, Pretty, none of them ever throw their country of heritage under the bus. But Kemi would always, Nigeria, where the corruption is, this is Nigeria, where I had to carry a chair to school. Nigeria, where I am like, what the hell? And all because she wants to paint a picture of, I am so grateful to be in the United Kingdom. So grateful. I want you to know how grateful I am. And it begs the question, who are you speaking to? What is this gratitude that you're basically using to make yourself look small, so that they'll go, oh, you see, at least she's grateful. We always tell them to be grateful. Well, if she's grateful, let her come in. Hey, what do I have to be? Look, when I wake up each morning, I think exactly what a white British person thinks. These things are mine. This country is mine. I have every right to be here just as a white British person, period. If I have any gratitude, I do. They're for those who did the needful, those who worked hard to give us workers' rights, to try to end racial discrimination in this country. Those white, black, and brown that helped to pave the way for people like me.
Yeah.
To them, I owe gratitude. To them, I say thank you. But no, I'm not going to sit here going, oh my God, I better behave myself, or people not think I'm grateful enough. Please. Do you see white British people go around going, I am grateful for what? We helped to build this country.
Yeah.
We have helped to build this country, and we are still building this country. So yeah, I'm sorry. If Britain is not going to say thank you to the colonies, if it's not going to its former colonies, look at the trillions of pounds it literally took from India.
True.
I've never gone to India to say, thank you so much. Thank you so much. If it was, it would not be nothing. And the zillions, trillions as well, from from African continent and all those countries that they colonized and they enslaved. Have they ever said thank you to them? And I'm the one that should say thank you. Oh, people, don't make me talk. Don't make me talk.
But Kemi, she's spectacular. I have to say, I'm always impressed.
There's nothing spectacular about. Please,
No?
come on. Easy. You and I.
It's impressive. I don't know, but does she really believe it?
No, Kemi, as far as I do not know Kemi personally, I only know her as a politician. Okay. And I like to believe that people know and understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Kemi is not a stupid woman. She's not unintelligent. I think she's intelligent. I think she believes exactly what she's saying. And I think that, every word she says is deliberate and intentional. And she has a goal. That's her political ambition. So if she does become the first Black, conservative leader, you know what? Good for her. It makes no difference to me. I know what her worth is. I know what she stands for. And I know she does not speak for me. So when people go, oh my goodness, this is a mark of representation and progression, I'm like, bullshit. The only person and people, the cause that she speaks for is upholding white supremacy. She doesn't speak for me. She's not my representation. She's a representation of those who uphold and want to keep the status quo of white supremacy. So yeah, by all means, clap yourselves into, oh my God, look at us. We're so good. We got a Black racial gatekeeper to say everything we want to say. And how can they call it racist because it's a Black person that said it? No. Whether she becomes the next prime minister or not makes no difference. I mean, look at Rishi Sunak. I think I had a bit of an open mind for Rishi. Look, I'm very he was already, chancellor to Boris Johnson. But I went, let's give him a chance. Shola, hold on. I think being the first British Asian prime minister, it's a wonderful thing. And I wanted to be able to celebrate him. Don't get me wrong. But then I said, Shola, you remember all the things and what he's defended, all the things he was silent about. Only for him to become prime minister and then enforce this culture war. Yeah. All this disgusting nonsense. I'm like, you know better. You're the grandchild of immigrants. You should know better. Yeah. That the answer is not division. That we should find a way where we can recognize how much immigration has been a blessing to this country. Yeah. To this country. And a lot of these, first, second, third generation of immigrants also need to remember that those of your forebears who were immigrants, quote unquote, were actually not immigrants. Yeah. They were the subjects of the Queen. They were the subjects of this country. So really, they were citizens.
Yeah. So moving from one part to the other part.
Okay. Exactly. So why treat them as they're immigrants? No, they're not. And look at this nonsense with the Chagos Islands.
Yeah.
The whole furor over that. Isn't that ridiculous? Imagine creating a war, a culture war, and creating issues about an island that does not belong to you, whose sovereignty does not belong to Britain. They want to hold the land, but if the people of the Chagos Island want to live here, they'll say no. So how can you have sovereignty of the land and not embrace the people from the land? Do you see? You see how white supremacy works?
Yeah, psychosis. No, mate.
I want useless people. Don't let me speak too much Yoruba. Useless.
I was gonna. There's two questions that come to mind. One, just what when you say racial gatekeeper, explain to listeners what you mean by a racial gatekeeper.
Also, terminology-wise, I feel that racial gatekeeper really captures me personally. That's my preferred term to other terms. A racial gatekeeper is a Black or brown person who literally gatekeeps. They legitimize the dehumanization and the ongoing systemic oppression of people from their own marginalized communities based on their race and sometimes as well because of their gender. And basically, some people then go, well, sure, it's a difference of opinion. I have no issue with people having a difference of opinion. My husband has differences of opinions from me. I've not divorced him yet. But you don't see me going, oh my God, that's a problem. No, there's a distinct difference between a difference of opinion and denying people's humanity. But if your opinion, through the power that you hold, whether that's a political office, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's on the street, whether that's because you're a bus driver, whatever kind of power that you hold that would deny my humanity is not a difference of opinion. That's racial gatekeeping. That's you taking from me for you to benefit from your proximity to white supremacy. That's racial gatekeeping. Now, some people may prefer to use words like coconut, Uncle Tom. I'm sure there are other terms out there.
Hash Negro was my favorite, which is why the police came to my house. Hash Negro was my favorite because, but the police don't like that one.
Yeah, so there are different terms out there, but they're really saying the same thing. The only difference for me is I find words like coconut, house Negro. I think that they're more insults than actually necessarily addressing what the person is doing or has done. That's the only reason why I prefer racial gatekeeper. But all of these other terms are, they're not racist. That's one. Because Black people are not racist to Black people. Brown people are not racist to brown people. Racism is a power construct created by white people for the benefit of white people to the detriment of Black and brown people. People, don't make me rap this out into a song. Honestly. It's stupidity. It's like saying that, well, what we accuse men of for doing to women, now we're going to say women are doing the exact same thing, or women. This is nonsense. It's nonsense. So yeah, all of the persecutions that Black people have been, it's those emoji trials. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Clearly, the CPS are jobless. They have better to do with their time.
We keep getting told the courts are full. There's no space for there's too many. You can't get serious cases in the courts. And then come up with reasons.
There is, malicious communication is a real thing.
Yeah.
People insulting and disrespecting each other is a real thing, but that's not a crime.
Yeah.
I get disrespected all the time.
All the time.
Online, all the time. Yeah. And I'm sure there are people who feel that I disrespect them. Keir Starmer being one, because as far as I'm concerned, and I've blatantly called him a political prostitute. I didn't mean that as a compliment. I meant for him to feel offended because that is what he does.
People can't take offense anymore. They can't take offense. People can't take offense anymore. Snowflakes. No offense.
Thank you. Yeah. We are not. When we get offended, we're called snowflakes. And apparently we do not have the freedom of speech, nor do we have the right to offend those who go, well, we believe in freedom of speech, except when it comes to Israel, except when it comes to white supremacy, except when it comes to, the list goes on. So at the end of it, I have no freedom of speech. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Honestly.
But I have it on good authority that Kemi Badenoch, she was in ACS when she was at university, African Caribbean Society. I know someone who knows her, and they say that she can't understand why Black people don't like it. So I want to ask you, what would you say to Kemi Badenoch? I couldn't believe this, but she can't understand it. Yeah, what would you say to Kemi Badenoch? How would you try and pull her back? How would you try and pull her back in?
Kemi's asking why Black people don't like her.
Yeah.
Well, let me speak to Kemi. Kemi, are you okay? What kind of silly question is that? You literally stand up at the pulpit, let me call it pulpit, in the House of Commons, and you use words like white privilege is not a real thing. Oh, well, yes, what Frank Hester said was racist, but yeah, he's apologized now. Let's just move on. Why? No accountability. Time and time again, you defend the indefensible. You never come out to actually state truth and fact and stand by it as it applies to Black people and the Black community you say you're a part of. Tell you, why are you surprised? We know that everything you say is for your political ambition. So you can be, I don't know, the next Conservative Party leader, and you want to be the next Prime Minister. Well, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, you're not fit for public. Look, you're not fit to be a politician. You're not fit to be a public official. You're not fit to be the next Prime Minister. But you know what? The good thing is we live in a democracy. So people can vote. You just know that my vote will never come to you. It can't happen. Even if we're flying in the air, I would never vote for Kemi Badenoch. It would never happen. I mean, I'm not ever going to vote for the Tories. I mean, on policy, this constant division with culture wars. Look at what she says about trans women. I don't understand it. This is when she was meant to be Minister of Equalities. Clearly, she was Minister of No Equality. All she did was drive division. Why? Why can't you represent women in every form that we come? Well, why can't you be the solution to bridge the gap? I don't get it. I said every single time she opens her mouth, look at what she said about maternity.
Yeah.
Being excessive. Then she tried to go it back with, well, you didn't understand what we were saying. No. Listen, we speak English. We too.
We understood.
We kind of understood what you said. We comprehended it. Yeah. And we knew what you said was wrong. And instead of her to come out and say, I am sorry. Do you know, I can respect people who take ownership and go, I am sorry. She doubled down. And the reason she doubled down, Kehinde, is because that is what she believes. I really want people to stop saying, well, maybe she doesn't believe that. Stop it. She's gone. Oh, she has gone. She's over the cliff, over the bridge. All right? Saving this one. She doesn't need to
give up on
Kemi. She wants to be. So the only thing I will do is to ensure that one, I don't vote for her. Two, anyone that I know does not vote for her. I'll speak out against anything she does wrong. If she happens to do or say something I consider right, I'll give her credit for it.
Okay.
Again, there's no skin off my nose. If someone is doing something right, say they're doing something right. Someone's doing something wrong, say they're doing something wrong. But do I think she's fit to be Prime Minister? Hell to the frick no. Do I think she's fit to be the Conservative Party leader? Yes, that is where she belongs. That party of no doers, no gooders, and corrupt people, all of them, as far as I'm concerned. Now, of course, this will sound like a blanket, blah, 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 because, and I don't mean it to be blanket, I'm really thinking more about the conservative governments, okay? There's some conservative members and even a few politicians, maybe one or two, that I actually like and respect.
Okay.
I actually like and respect them. They are also confounded how badly their party has turned into a right-wing, pit of just absolute nonsense. So maybe one day the Conservative Party will become a party to be reckoned with. A party I can nod my head and go, okay, that's a change, but that's not the Conservative Party of today. Definitely not with someone like Kemi Badenoch.
Well, I think if I ever hear you agreeing with Kemi Badenoch, I think that would be one of the signs of the apocalypse, to be honest.
Well,
end time.
Me too. End times are here. Oh, no, it's not that drastic. I don't know, maybe one day she might actually do something I agree with.
Maybe. But yeah, I put a bet on she's going to be the next Prime Minister. I promise you, I've been saying it for a long time.
But you know what? I don't... Do I think that she might be let's first of all start with her being party leader. I think that, so I did not sit down and watch the Conservative Party conference. What a load of nonsense. But I saw the snippets that they showed on TV. And Jenrick, is between Jenrick and Badenoch. Jenrick seemed to be more natural on the stage with the way he was speaking. She clearly was reading the auto cue and she just seemed really stiff. So she needs, I'm not trying to give Kemi Badenoch any advice
Yeah,
here,
what advice? Oh, good.
or even try to get her to do better. But hey, you're stiff. What the hell's wrong with you? Some more so you can look more natural on the political stage. Anyway, that's one thing. But the reason I think that the reason some of the members, if she is voted as the next party leader, is because she ticks the box of being black and a woman.
Yeah.
Because everything she says is what Jerick is saying.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Yeah.
So for me, it's more likely they will go for Jerick. But because we're now in the stage of, well, we just want to prove that we are not racist.
Yeah. Exactly.
Remember, they did not vote for Rishi Sunak. The members did not vote for Rishi
Fair
Sunak.
enough.
It's MPs that put him there.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised if, because they want to tick that box, they vote for her. But really, it's simply because she is the black face of what Jerick is saying.
Exactly. You can do two things. You can look not racist while being really racist. I mean, it's perfect.
But it's still upholding the racism. And then if Kemi happens to be picked as the Conservative Party leader, she's going to go head and head with that political prostitute Keir Starmer.
Mm-hmm.
Keir Starmer has lost, if he ever had, any credibility. He's a pledge-breaking, two-faced, Zionist, genocide apologist. I mean, this man does not stand for anything. He has no principles.
Yeah.
This is where it will come in. This is where the mix would be much more interesting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Jerick will make no difference because you're just seeing two white men.
Yeah, two
boring white men. Neither of them are charismatic or blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying Kemi is charismatic. I don't think she is. But I think that what she might bring to the table as an opposition leader facing Keir Starmer, who is bog standard, boring, pledge, two-faced, lie, the whole list of adjectives, might make it much more interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know if Kemi, if she was chosen, would last and not be replaced at some point. Because remember, this is a cooling period for the Conservative Party. All they're trying to do is let's try and get all the people we lost to reform. Let's see if we can make ourselves more presentable. I don't understand. James Cleverly was the moderate one. By not going with Cleverly, who I don't think is very clever, by the way.
The most badly named person in history is James Cleverly. He's an idiot. But anyway.
But you see, by the MPs not choosing James Cleverly, they sent just a single resounding message to the entire country. Yeah. We are not going to change.
Yeah.
We're going to go deeper into this right-wing thing. They rejected Suella Braverman, thinking she's the extremist one. Now, I know that her language is much more blunt, sharper, but I see no difference between Suella Braverman and Kemi Badenoch.
There's no. There's
no difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
And Jenrick. I think the MPs probably thought Suella is toxic. And she's created a toxic brand.
Yeah.
Jenrick looks like he just graduated from school yesterday. I Kemi has been, she's been propelled by those with power, like Michael Gove and blah, blah, blah. So they've been positioning her. I don't think she's ready. No, in fact, I take that back. She's ready.
Oh,
what else do you need to be a Conservative Party leader?
You don't need more. You don't need many.
Buffoon of the highest order.
Yeah.
Right?
But she's dangerous. No, she's dangerous because Kemi she can make a pact with reform. She could bring in Nigel Farage. She's a black woman. It doesn't matter. She can go all the way right wing and no one can say anything.
Because of race and gender, she poses that higher risk of danger to marginalized communities because we know she's not going to be looking out for us. That's the reality. She's not different from Boris Johnson except for the fact that her hair in braids. So it looks, neater and tighter, right?
Yeah, she's better than Plowsy in that way.
And she wears pressed suits, so she doesn't look rumpled. But really, she and Boris Johnson are no different at all. So I think we are in for interesting times. And I've after the 2016 elections,
Hmm.
the 2019 elections, my heart took a beating.
Yeah.
Okay, I swear to God, my brain, 'cause I could not for the life of me understand how a people can cut their nose to spite their face, how they can vote in their worst interest. I just could not comprehend.
Yeah.
From Brexit to voting in a buffoon, incompetent waste of space like Boris Johnson. Like, why would you do that to yourselves? Right? So what I just chose to do in the 2024 elections, there was no way I was going to vote for that waste of space Keir Starmer, that political prostitute. Nah.
Yeah.
I was already, I did not know anything about Keir Starmer when he became leader of Labour Party. So I had an open mind. Like, I don't know anything about this guy. And then I started to watch him, and then I'm like, why is he breaking pledges he's made and
Mhm.
promising he made to become leader? That's
Mhm.
not a good sign.
Yeah.
Then I become aware of the hierarchy of hate in which he treats black and brown politicians differently.
Yeah.
Say, other politicians, he treats anti-Semitism as his priority, not
Yeah.
racism. I
Yeah.
mean, it's disgusting profiteering over Diane Abbott. I said, do you think Diane Abbott is alone? She's got people. She's
Yeah.
got. She doesn't have a tribe. She's got a whole huge badass community
Yeah.
behind her. The fact that you're treating her like she's an orphan, she's not an orphan. No. She has children's children,
Yeah.
nephews, nieces, people, black, brown, and white.
Yeah.
No. You don't mess with her that way. And then he now said that Israel has the right to deny Palestinians food. Well, listen, if there was already a straw that broke the camel's back, just take that to be 7 straws. That was it. There was no way I was going to vote for Keir Starmer's Labour Party. So I had a conversation. I remember tweeting this out, and I went, Lib Dems, Green Party, make your pitch. I'm ready
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
Green Party reached out to me.
Did they?
Yes. And I spent a good time with Zach Polanski, talking about different issues. Sometimes I'll go back to him and say, what's your policy on this? What's your policy on that? I'm like, okay. I like what I'm here. I said, look, I'll be honest. I'm not an expert on the climate, change and the kind of policies. In fact, I learned a lot from my own children.
Okay.
I'm keeping an open mind. I said, but I don't see it as throwing away my vote. Because some people went, don't you understand that we must get rid of the Tories? I said, yeah, but we must get rid of Keir Starmer's Labour Party too. Don't you understand we have a two-party system? The only reason we have a two-party system is because all of you keep voting for two parties.
Yeah. Somebody else.
God gave you. If we stop the voting for the Conservatives, Labour Party, we will no longer have a two-party system.
Yeah.
I want somebody else.
Yeah.
And then we end up teaching Conservatives and Labour Party that we have the power.
Yeah.
God knows. I voted for them,
Okay.
for the Green Party. And that's why with the US elections coming up with Trump and Harris, I refuse to be emotionally invested because, Kehinde, it's not good for my mental health. Yeah, well, because I would not be surprised if Trump is, put back in as
Oh, Trump's
president.
gonna win. Oh,
I
this,
would
yeah,
be
it's gonna win. Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the same time, as much as I like Kamala Harris,
Mhm.
as much as she brings a smile to my face on a number of issues, women's rights, blah, blah, blah. And I think just generally, it'd be good to have I don't know if she's the best possible option because we not get to see other Democratic
Yeah.
debate, blah, blah, blah. But she's been in the job as vice
Yeah.
president. However, yeah, and yes, she'll be the first Black, Asian, mixed race, female president of the United. All of those things are worth going, oh, wow. But let me tell you what's not worth going, oh, wow. Genocide.
Yeah.
It is her administration, the Biden-Harris administration, that has literally fostered the genocide
Yeah.
and ethnic cleansing and starvation of millions of Palestinians. I'm sorry, I cannot support that.
Yeah.
Being the first Black, Asian, president is not, in my books, anywhere close to being the perpetrating and perpetrating genocide. And I keep waiting for her to take a different stance.
No, she's not. Her husband's a Zionist, isn't he? I mean,
I'm so disappointed. I mean, to be honest with you, her husband is not is her husband's views is neither here nor there. He's not the one running for office.
yeah, true.
So to me, it doesn't matter. And I don't know that he holds Zionist views. He may be an anti-Zionist Jewish person, but again, that is irrelevant. He's not the person in office, so I don't even look at him. Just like when people bring up Keir Starmer's wife, we don't need to bring her up. She's not the prime minister, so leave her alone, as far as I'm concerned. So because of that, I would struggle. If I was going to vote in the U.S. elections, I would struggle to vote for Kamala Harris because I cannot have spent the last 12 months watching the horror that the U.S. has made possible and say I'm going to vote for the party, the government that made it possible. If she even came out and said something to let us know that, listen, under my watch, we will start to hold Israel accountable, then please. That would make such a difference. But she's not doing that. So I know that if I was going to vote, if I was an American voter, that's I'll be like, no. And to be honest with you, I would not. My decision would be the same as with the Keir Starmer. I did not vote for him. It did not matter to me. I don't want the Tories and I don't want Keir Starmer, so I'm not going to vote for either of them. And then people try to blackmail you with, don't you know that will bring Trump in? No, the only reason Trump will come in is because of you. The only reason Trump will come in is because you are stupid enough to vote for him. And I'm not blackmailed into letting a genocidal party come in that will carry on the genocide, or Trump, especially when there's no discernible difference between Kamala Harris and Trump on Israel. There is no difference. If you think about it, everything Biden has done is exactly what Trump would have done with Israel. You guys would have done what I cannot imagine worse than letting an entire city be devastated, letting 15,000 plus children be murdered with bombs, white phosphorus. I cannot imagine. He would have done exactly the same thing. So I'm not going to be emotionally invested in the US one. We'll see. If Kamala is elected, I don't see her making a difference with Israel. And that makes it so sad. Especially for activists like us. We know that Kamala Harris knows better. She's a qualified prosecutor. She knows what Israel is wrong. She knows it. Legally, by every standard of law, international or domestic. So for her not to speak out against that in the name of political ambition, that just makes a whole different view of her for me, which is sad. Because I would love to celebrate the ass out of her. I would love to go, oh my God. Because the reality, Kehinde, is that she and Biden have done some good things in their administration. Again, those things are not necessary. I don't know why they don't. It doesn't seem to speak to the public. I don't understand.
They're not communicated.
The public doesn't know how much of the changes and better things they've done. I don't get it. I don't understand how that works. But
well, it's not the best place to end, but it is possible that in a few years we've got two black female heads of state who are both supporting genocide. That is what
So you tell me who they represent.
What a great state of the world.
Honestly, that is representing white supremacy. If we end up with two black head of states,
black female head of state supporting genocide,
capitalist countries in the world, supporting genocide, descendants of the people that were colonized, enslaved, supporting genocide, supporting Israel's colonization and apartheid of Palestinians. That's a shame. Ancestors are rolling somewhere.
Yeah, definitely rolling. Yeah.
Rolling somewhere. If I bet you anything, that maybe they're up and saying to the ancestors who were the coconuts, can you see your blood? They're probably fighting somewhere, going.
Oh man.
The likes of Mandela and all of these other, African freedom fighters and Caribbean freedom fighters, those in the Caribbean, on the African continent, those of the civil rights movement before Martin Luther King, all of them. I'm sitting there going, what the hell?
Yeah.
And it can expose it. It exposes it because then who would not want to celebrate the first Black British Prime Minister? Kehinde, the fact that she's even Nigerian self, we will throw party. Hey, party must happen. But then you see Kemi Badenoch. You can't celebrate that. You can't do that.
You can't.
You understand what I mean? It's like, even if Nigerians say, our Kemi, I'm like, you people are clearly not understanding what she stands for. But if she stood on the right side of history, humanity, and you knew that she was going to try her best to bring around the best kind of change, I would 100% support her. Also recognizing that she's not perfect, no politician is. So I'm not going to expect from them something they can't deliver.
But no, I can talk to you all day, but we need to wrap, I think. And I think
we're having so much fun.
I've got my little kids are off school. I'm gonna go sort of with some lunch. It's actually my thing to do for the day. Keep my kids.
Very good, very good.
But thank you for your. I think it's good you're not a politician because we can have a nice, clear, authentic voice. So thank you.
Politics is ready for someone like me.
No, but that's good. That's what I'm saying. It's good, it's not, because you can be authentic and real. Make it plain. That's what we need. So thank you for your work.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Thanks for having me.
All right.